The problem with police in general, everywhere, is they don't like change particularly.
Right.
And when they do, it takes a while to let go of tools that they're so ingrained in, like, the everyday things that they use. When you make a change, it's difficult for them to, for whatever reason, not saying it's right, that's just the nature of the people who work in a law enforcement profession.
So it seems like no one wants to fix the problem. And that's the frustration.
Maybe they don't.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
We're getting a new mayor in January, so I can tell you that there are a lot of things that are going on with the city that are just essentially like status quo, as is, things are on hold, we're not going to spend money, like, we're just maintaining a level to keep this city running. And that's what happens when you work in a political environment and administrations are turning over. I don't know how many administrations turned over in your prior employment, but they have turned over numerous times in all the cities I've worked in. And this is the time of year when a new mayor is going to come in at the end of the year. Nothing happens. Literally nothing gets done. It's just, here's our baby. But see, think about it this way. So you put all that information in an email, which is public record. I like to think about it this way when I'm typing an email. Would I want the newspapers or local news stations to get that information and blast it across the nation? If the answer is no, then I don't put it in an email.
Right. But you're getting upset that I'm documenting it.
For your, we have, what did we say to you?
Okay.
Where can you document?
From this point forward, I won't tell the end users unless they ask.
Where are you supposed to document things? We already told you in this meeting.
I document it for myself and send it to the team at IT.
But again, it's put in a ticket that the end user sees.
What's that?
But you're putting that information in a ticket that the end user sees.
So what do you want me to do? How do I document it?
I would say if it's a specific issue, keep a separate list. Right? Because again, we're trying not to give the end, or we're trying not to put these particular types of issues in the end user's hands, right? To where it looks like.
Don't mock the fucking deaf guy or he'll report us to HR.
Be Lieutenant Murphy.
You've heard that statement made, though?
Yes.
How about the next comment I'm going to go into is, hey, fucking deaf guy. Have you ever heard him just call him, turn up your fucking bell tones?
Yeah, that was the same time frame.
Still, Lieutenant Murphy?
Yes.
No vulgar language?
Not that I heard.
Discussion, okay.
No.
Are we on a fucking riot? And who needs ink and who needs a good idea to be? There's a giant ass fucking printer and the computer where you ready to roll?
If you replace the battery, yeah. The computer would never issue.
Motherfucker. So I can go down and erase that off the board. We fucking know.
We have a
That
new
is-
HR director today. Let's try to stay out of her office for at least the 3 days, right? That gets us the whole week.
He takes care of himself.
That movie.
Jerry's kind of a dick to us, and we were like,
Yeah.
when I go in on second shift, I sit the fuck down. On purpose.
All right.
On purpose.
Okay.
So, gotta smack a shit out of
Way
him.
easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Stupid men.
There you go, you stupid men.
You put all that information in an email, which is public record. I like to think about it this way when I'm typing an email. Would I want the newspapers or local news stations to get that information and blast it across the nation?
My concern one day they'll be caught in a compromising situation where they can't play something that they had and they've lost the evidence.
Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen probably, and then they'll start using the new system.
And that's why some things I'll let go, but some I won't.
Yeah, that's when I was at Columbus, some officer went in and like some system and erased like 100,000 public records because they didn't know what they were doing because it was in an old system. And what do you know after that? They started using the new one that was backed up to all these cloud servers. So unfortunately, sometimes that's what happens.
And I'm willing to keep speaking and take the hit to protect the city for that, to do the right thing. But I'll admit, I get frustrated.
Oh yeah, it seems frustrating. Yeah.
When you can see the whole thing. But
Probably not till next year.
Okay.
What is that around your neck?
Bluetooth to my phone. So I listen to radio or music. So a lot of people think I'm. So when
Brian's a dick.
people think I ignore them, it's because I can't hear nothing else when.
I was just getting ready to say it's what he uses to ignore me in the morning.
Brilliant.
So I'm sitting at the desk, fine. But I think
He also has no peripheral vision. Vision.
Vision?
Peripheral vision. Right.
Oh, God.
Because I'm like, here, and he's like, Ryan, like, hey. He's like, oh. Yeah, they said I couldn't hit him. That's
Oh,
I
that's-
looked
I'm
into
just
that.
focused on my work.
They said,
I wouldn't have asked.
So, yeah.
Gotta smack a shit out of
Way
him.
easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
That's
for
true.
agreeing.
That is so true. Is that true? Yeah.
I always use that when I would sell jewelry. Stupid men.
There you go, you stupid men.
Where did you work? What jewelry?
I didn't feel it was right for us to have free software on there when the company said we have to pay for it.
But see, think about it this way. So you put all that information in an email, which is public record. I like to think about it this way when I'm typing an email. Would I want the newspapers or local news stations to get that information and blast it across the nation? If the answer is no, then I don't put it in an email.
Check the box. Now, if you're working on that, and somebody calls and says, hey, car one whatever is not connecting, you're going to go look at that.
So your expectation. But how do I know that car's down?
Somebody would either call
Nope.
or they would put a ticket in.
Nope. How do I know?
Somebody's either going to call
Nope.
or they're going to put a ticket in.
Nope. The user doesn't call, the user doesn't put a ticket. How do I know?
I don't know. Then how do you know? How do they contact me?
They contact you.
Okay, why did they contact me versus you?
If I was the IT director, I'd say put a work order in so everyone's
They
notified.
know you're responsible for the cars. Why do they call me, or why do they stop me in the parking lot, or?
Because they don't follow procedures. The policy is put a ticket in.
There is no policy.
Okay.
There is no policy.
Then there's the issue. There's no policy.
There's no policy.
No policy.
There's not going to be any policy.
And there's, because of no policy, it causes confusion. Sometimes they call Damien, and then Damien calls Sergeant, and Sergeant calls you, then you call me.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Okay, so it went through 4 people. You ever played the telephone game in kindergarten?
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
That's what's happening.
Right.
And that's
So
the
that's
confusion.
when we go back to that car or to that officer and say, "What's the problem?"
But they're not here.
Yeah.
So if we can have them put the work order and follow what we trained them several times this past year, and lieutenants and sergeants have also told them several times, and I got emails document. You're saying it's not a policy,
It's not a policy.
then what is it? Why are they emailing them to do this, but they're not doing it? What's it called then?
It's a process.
A process.
It's a process. Yep.
So what's the process?
Their process is to notify us.
in the process to notify us according to lieutenant and sergeant, and what you trained them on January is what?
Right. Enter a ticket. But if they don't do that, I'm not gonna not service them. I'm still gonna service their needs. Absolutely.
So you're still gonna do
100%
this,
of the time.
so you're still gonna do the telephone game and cause confusion?
If that's what we have to do, yep, and then figure it out, yep, absolutely.
Okay, then that's where we stand. Then I can't be held responsible for the insanity and confusion, because by the time it gets to you, to 4 people, it's not even the right car, or it's not even the right air message. I got documentation. You're saying it's this
Okay.
car,
I'm
and
not arguing with you, okay, yeah.
so
I'm telling you this is not a policy.
It's a
never
process.
gonna be a policy,
you said it was a process, right?
it's a process.
It's a
Right,
process.
Right.
So the process is not being followed. And because of that process,
Sometimes.
it causes confusion or misinformation,
Sure, right, yep,
and that misinformation causes problems.
yep.
So how do we fix that?
We can't from here,
Why not?
because
Who's we?
I don't, I'm not in charge of any of those people over there.
But you gave them a process, right?
Yep,
And they told their people a process,
Yep.
right? So who can we say, ask them, how can we avoid this confusion?
so that needs to be them just continuing to work on that process over there, right?
It's been a year and a half.
Sometimes stuff takes longer than that.
So we have no accountability, is what you're saying.
We? Here in
The city. We have no accountability, the police department has no accountability. We can't hold the police department accountable, and the police department can't hold the officers accountable. Because of this lack of accountability, it causes confusion. Because by the time it comes to you, and then you tell me it's the wrong car, the wrong air message, I can't fix it. And if I'm giving the wrong information, or if I'm working on the wrong information and break something else, I can only work with what I know.
Right, I would agree with